Hello everyone. I have a special treat today. You have watched my videos and other people's videos. What makes a Jehovah's Witness a Jehovah's Witness? What makes them so special? Because it's the name Jehovah. It's the name what they use of God. Well, I want to share an audio how Jehovah's Witnesses view this name, Jehovah. And I'd like to play this video with y'all.
What a voice. We have voices in the organization, too, that can rival some in Hollywood. Dan Sidley, member of the governing body. What a deep voice he has, right? He spoke last summer in Providence. You could almost feel the building shake. And whenever he talked to Jehovah, it was just beautiful indeed. The resonance, the fullness in the throat. It's enjoyable to listen to. Beautiful voices indeed. But we have yet to hear the most beautiful voice in the universe. It belongs to Jehovah. Powerful like the crack of thunder in the sky. And yet, gentle like the breeze. That's the voice that belongs to Jehovah. And that is the ultimate voice of authority. That's the voice that you and I want to make sure that we listen to. That we hear what God has to say. Jehovah never speaks just to hear himself speak. He never uses his voice just out of sheer enjoyment for himself. When he says something, he has something someone needs to hear. It will benefit someone who hears. That's the voice that belongs to Jehovah. The ultimate voice of authority. So much so that we have an entire chapter in the Bible book of Psalms that deals with God's voice. Open your Bibles to it. Psalm 29. Verse 1 says, "Ascribe to Jehovah, O you sons of strong ones. Ascribe to Jehovah glory and strength. Ascribe to Jehovah the glory of his name. Bow down to Jehovah in holy adornment. The voice of Jehovah is over the waters. The glorious God himself has thundered. Jehovah is over many waters." Let's pause there now. My wife and I, a few years back, had the privilege to see Niagara Falls. How many of you have seen Niagara Falls? Oh, that's a good show of hands. One of the 7 wonders of the world, huh? It just kind of takes your breath away. First time you've ever seen it. Which you just read. It says the voice of God is over the waters, plural. If we could gather all the water on earth and make one waterfall, and God spoke, you would still hear him. Clear as crystal. There is absolutely nothing that can drown out his voice if he wants to be heard. What a voice. And that's the ultimate voice of authority. It belongs to Jehovah. We would do well to pay attention when he speaks. But we're not through. Humans, especially females, have been able to reach such a high note with their voice that they can shatter crystal. Shatter crystal. You have a nice sheer crystal glass on the table. And this soprano begins to sing, and you notice the glass begins to bounce until finally, into millions of pieces. She did that with her voice. The voice of Jehovah is splendid. The voice of Jehovah is breaking the cedars. Yes, Jehovah breaks the cedars of Lebanon in pieces, and he makes them skip about like a cat. Lebanon and Syrian like the sons of wild bulls. We're not talking about a crystal glass here. We're talking about the giant cedars of Lebanon, reaching 120 feet high and having a circumference of some 40 feet. Does that give you an idea of the voice of God? If he wanted to, not that he does that, but if he wanted to, he could splinter those trees just like a soprano can cause a crystal glass to shatter. That's a powerful voice. A voice that we would want to pay attention to. The voice of Jehovah is hewing with the flames of fire. The voice of Jehovah itself makes the wilderness writhe. Jehovah makes the wilderness of Kadesh writhe. The voice of Jehovah itself makes the hinds writhe with birth pains, and strips bare the forest. And in his temple, each one is saying, glory. Now that's where you and I come into the picture. We can say glory. In fact, we are invited to do so in verse 1. Ascribe to Jehovah, O you sons of strong ones. Ascribe to Jehovah glory and strength. So we should talk about the magnificent God that we serve and the truly beautiful voice that he has. But now we're going to look at that voice from a different standpoint and perhaps be made to appreciate the voice of Jehovah. On 3 occasions, humans have heard the voice of God. On 3 occasions. I wonder if you know the 3 occasions. There's just 3. I'm going to give you a little while to lock these 3 times in your brain. Time's up. Okay, now we're going to go. But now you can grade your own brain. No one's going to know whether you're right or wrong, but you will. Now let's see if you know the first one. Did you have this locked in your brain? Matthew chapter 3. Let's turn there and see if you had this one locked in your brain. Verse 17. Look also, there was a voice from the heavens that said, this is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved. There were 2 humans present, a perfect one, Jesus, and an imperfect one, John the Baptist.
Okay, I stopped it there for a reason. Besides looking at the other 2, let's look for the one, not John the Baptist, but the very first one that heard Jehovah's voice. The one who recorded Jehovah's name in all the Bibles. So let's find out who was the first person that used Jehovah's name. When I did research on this name on jw.org, I don't know if this name you can use it. It shows this guy was the one who came up with the name Jehovah. I went on the internet to look up this guy's name. He's the one who invented the name Jehovah. So I'm going to share some research I have done, which is forbidden by Jehovah's Witnesses since they use this name few times in their own literature. So let's hear what I've learned.
Watchtower leaders knew, as early as the 1940s by the new information generated from the Dead Sea Scrolls, that Jehovah was never God's divine name in any language. It is not found as any Hebrew or Greek manuscript. It was first used in the 13th century as a substitute for the divine name by a Spanish Catholic monk. CWT publication. The divine name that will endure forever. Page 17. Raimundus Martini mixed the vowels of Adonai and Elohim with the consonants of the tetragram to form the name Jehovah. So in reality one substitute has no greater significance than any other substitute, for a substitute is a substitute. Since the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, Bible scholars have used the name Yahweh. It is believed by both Jews and Christians to be the closest rendering of the divine name. Watchtower leaders simply did not want to give up the name Jehovah because it had become in 1931 a symbol for their movement known as Jehovah's Witnesses. Reference works that document this fact.
If anyone didn't quite understand that, let's try that again.
Watchtower leaders knew, as early as the 1940s by the new information generated from the Dead Sea Scrolls, that Jehovah was never God's divine name in any language. It is not found as any Hebrew or Greek manuscript. It was first used in the 13th century as a substitute for the divine name by a Spanish Catholic monk. CWT publication. The divine name that will endure forever. Page 17. Raymondus Martini mixed the vowels of Adonai and Elohim with the consonants of the tetragram to form the name Jehovah. So in reality one substitute has no greater significance than any other substitute, for a substitute is a substitute. Since the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, Bible scholars have used the name Yahweh. It is believed by both Jews and Christians to be the closest rendering of the divine name. Watchtower leaders simply did not want to give up the name Jehovah because it had become in 1931 a symbol for their movement known as Jehovah's Witnesses. Reference works that document this fact. Jehovah, a term invented, or at least first used, by a Spanish monk, Raymondus Martini. In 1278 it appeared in Latin in the work Pugia Fidei, Dagger of Faith, by Raymondus Martini, a Spanish monk. He took the vowels from Elohim and Adonai and mixed them with the tetragrammaton to form a translatable name for YHWH. Reference is made in Part 2, The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, The Divine Name, 1984, page 17. Jehovah, false reading of Hebrew Yahweh, Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, copyright 1983. Jehovah is an erroneous form of the name of the God of Israel. Encyclopedia Americana. Jehovah, the pronunciation Jehovah is an error resulting among Christians from combining the consonants YHWH with the vowels of Adonai or Elohim. Encyclopedia Britannica. Jehovah, false form of the divine name Yahweh. New Catholic Encyclopedia. Jehovah is a mispronunciation of the Hebrew YHWH, the name of God. This pronunciation is grammatically impossible. The form Jehovah is a philological impossibility. The Jewish Encyclopedia, page 160. YHWH. When Christian scholars of Europe first began to study Hebrew, they did not understand what this really meant, and they introduced the hybrid name Jehovah. The true pronunciation of the name YHWH was never lost. Several early Greek writers of the Christian church testified that the name was pronounced Yahweh. This is confirmed, at least for the vowel of the first syllable of the name, by the shorter form Yah, which is sometimes used in poetry. For example, X15, 2. The personal name of God of Israel is written in the Hebrew Bible with the four consonants YHWH and is referred to as the tetragrammaton. At least until the destruction of the first temple in 586 BCE, this name was regularly pronounced with its proper vowels, as is clear from the Lakish letters, written shortly before that date. Encyclopedia Judaica, Jerusalem, page 680, volume 7.
And I have another one to play.
Religiously observant Jews are forbidden to pronounce the name of God, and when reading the Torah they use the word Adonai, Lord. 5. Although most Christians have no prohibition on pronouncing the tetragrammaton, in most Christian translations of the Bible, Lord is used in place of the tetragrammaton, after the Hebrew Adonai, and is often written with small capitals, or in all caps, to distinguish it from other words translated as Lord. The name may be derived from a verb that means to be, to exist. 1.
Okay, what you just heard is no one knew the vowels of God's name. From left to right, it's YHWH. Later on, it became, down the years, YHVH. There's no vowels. So the Spanish monk took two full letters and made a name and stuck vowels in between them to form the name Jehovah. The Jews never used this name. The Greeks never used this name. It was named from the Spanish monk, and they stuck this name into the Bible, and that's the reason why many Bibles had this name, because no one didn't want to take it out because they already had it in there. So what you just heard is the truth. Watchtower knew Jehovah was not God's name. One, there's no letter J in Hebrew. So you cannot make Jehovah. And no, you cannot use